Let's take a couple of moments and we'll check out the subwoofer settings on Pioneer's DEH-X3800UI. So before I get started with the subwoofer settings, let's turn the head unit off. I'm going to press and hold the source button for a couple of seconds. That switches the head unit off, even though I still have the clock on the screen. And we'll press in on the volume control. And I want to go to the initial menu. Here's the system menu. Here's the initial menu. We'll press enter here. And this is the setting that I'm looking for. It's speaker and pre-out mode. Now this head unit has 4 sets of speaker outputs and 2 sets of RCA outputs. Let's enter in there and see what's going on. Right now this is telling me that my rear speaker outputs are set to full range and my subwoofer, my rear RCA output is set to subwoofer out. So rear speakers on the left here set to full range, rear RCA set to subwoofer out. And we'll roll over to the next setting. And this says that our rear speaker output is set to subwoofer output and our rear RCA is set to subwoofer output. And roll over again, and we have both the rear speaker output and the rear RCA output set to full range. So full range there. Now if I've chosen this setting, full range for both the speakers and the RCA outputs, I'll get no subwoofer control in the audio menu. So to get subwoofer control in the audio menu, I have to have subwoofer output for the RCAs or for both the speaker and the RCAs. So we're going to keep that setting for right now. I'm just going to press my source button to go out to a source. Now press in on the volume control and let's go to the audio menu. Here's the audio menu and we'll press enter. Now we're going to scroll along here until we find the subwoofer settings. Right now my subwoofer output is switched off. If I touch in on the volume control, I can switch the subwoofer output on and in its normal phase. Touch it one more time, subwoofer output is on and in its reverse phase. So experiment in your vehicle to see which sounds better, normal or reverse phase. If I touch it one more time, the subwoofer output is switched off. Right now I want the subwoofer output on and in its normal phase. And we'll roll over to our next setting, which is the subwoofer control. Now if you don't see the subwoofer control setting in your system, that means you have the subwoofer output switched off in the previous menu. Let's press in on the volume control, and the first thing we see is the crossover point for the subwoofer output, right now set to 100 Hertz. We can choose a different crossover frequency from 50 up to about 200 Hertz. We'll choose 80 Hertz for right now. Press enter. And we can choose to boost or cut that output at 80 Hertz. We'll choose to make that a +2 for right now. And press in again and we can change the slope of the crossover between 12 and 24 dB per octave. We'll make that 12 dB per octave for right now. So once you've made the settings that sound best in your vehicle, you can go back and roll over to the next setting, which is the bass boost. Press in here, and here we can add a little more bottom into the system with the bass boost control up to +6 or back down to 0. At any time, you can exit this menu by pressing the band button to escape.